I think that my body is messing with me. I don't know why. It is not pleasant, but for some reason, it seems to be messing with me. Uh, in case you're wondering why I chose to do an accent, is because I've always wanted to be able to do accents, always sucked at it. There's a few accents I'm able to do, but only usually a few words, sentence max, and then it just kind of like breaks apart. The only one, well, one of the only ones that I can do is French Canadian accents because I'm French Canadian, and even though I don't have an accent while speaking in English, I've heard enough people around me using that type of accent that I'm able to replicate it. Plus, my dad kind of has that accent when speaking in English. Not to the degree that I just used it, but yeah. So every once in a while, it's fun to use it. So, anyway, point is, I think my body's messing with me. And the reason why I'm saying that is twofold. First of all, over the course of the last 18 months, I would say, multiple different people from multiple different sources have suggested multiple different weed related options as a potential solution to my lack of appetite. I've always resisted simply because never done any drugs in my life, uh, have no interest in doing drugs. To me, it's just like an escape, and it's like I don't want to escape. I want to live life to the fullest. And also, since the cancer is mostly in the lungs, it wouldn't make sense to smoke. I've never smoked in my life. I've always had felt like the smell of, both cigarettes and weed to be completely repulsive to me. And it's never something that's attracted me, something I've wanted to do. And even now, like in the situation that I'm in, even if there could be a, benefit, wow, I can't speak apparently. Yeah. Anyway, even if there could be positive effects as a result of smoking weed, I'm like, I don't want to smoke it. So the only option left would be other weed products that you don't have to smoke, but that could potentially help with the appetite issues. Now, the thing is, I did a little research, and well, before that, let's just mention, for the longest time, I resisted it simply because it's like, it's weed, and to me, it's like, it's not something that I've ever done, that I ever plan on doing. Doing it kind of seemed like a way of giving up to me in a way. Anyway, it just never felt right. But it's just gotten to the point where the appetite has gotten so bad that it's like, you know what, I'll consider anything. Because, as I mentioned in a few videos ago, at this point, eating feels like torture. It sucks. I don't enjoy it. It's like every mouthful, I just have to force myself. And even so, I feel like I'm not eating enough. And it's like, I need to try to find a solution. So, all that to say, I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm finally going to consider weed as a potential option. Not smoking it, of course, that's something I would never do. I have no interest in getting high. But if there are weed related products that could potentially help, okay, I'll give it a shot. So, did a little research, and it's very confusing. From what I could gather from the research I did, CBD seems to, in general, for most people, suppress appetite, while THC seems to boost it. The only problem is THC is what gets you high, and that is something that I'm not willing to do. So that only leaves CBD as an option. And apparently, for most people, it seems to suppress appetite. But I'm like, you know what? Let's go to the SQDC. And, they're experts, so let me ask them and see what they suggest. By the way, if you don't live in Canada, specifically in Quebec, the SQDC is the government-run weed store, basically. Weed was legalized in Canada a couple of years ago, and even though, you can still get it from dealers and stuff like that, and the reason why I know that is because, I have friends and stuff like that who used to smoke weed before it became legal. So, anyway, still possible to get it the old-fashioned way, but mostly now most people just go through the government and just get it the legal way. And the advantage of that is they don't just have, weed and stuff like that. They have a lot of different products, and potentially one of them could be a solution. So I went there, spoke to the guy, explained my situation, asked a couple questions. He explained a few different things to me, but his recommendation is, you know, honestly, like there's a bunch of research that has been done. Nothing has been proven conclusively. So we can't really know how your body's going to react. My recommendation is just start with something, try it out, see what happens. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, try something else. And it so happened that my friend with who I went had some CBD oil that he wasn't using. So he gave it to me. So I'm like, you know what? Let me start with that. And then we'll see what happens. And I can either, try something else after that or, be like, okay, I tried it, gave it a shot, didn't work. At least now I know it doesn't work. So, been taking it for technically today's the third day, but I just took it like half an hour ago, something like that. So it's hard to know how I'm going to react today. But in the last 2 days, took it twice in the last 2 days, and threw up twice in the last 2 days. And saw zero boost in appetite. So far, it seems like what is supposed to help me with my appetite is not only not helping boost the appetite, it's making me throw up. So all that hard work, all that torture that I'm going through to put that food in my body is going to waste because I'm just throwing it back up. Or throwing it back up. Sorry. So it's still too early to determine exactly if it's the CBD oil that's causing me to throw up. But those 2 times that I took it in the last 2 days, it's always like, I take it, it tastes like oil, so it feels like you're just taking like drops of oil and you swallow, and it's like no big deal. You don't really taste the weed. But it's like there's kind of like in the background this feeling of like, yeah, I could throw up. Not really nausea, just like, if I throw up, oh, I won't be surprised, And as it so happened, threw up the first day I took it, threw up the second day I took it, and so far today I haven't thrown up, but it's very, very, very rare that I throw up in the morning. The only time it does happen is if I'm brushing my teeth and that triggers my gag reflex. So I'll have to wait and see later today if I end up throwing up. So my goal is to try this for, let's say, 5 days and then see what happens. Is there a boost in appetite? And do I keep throwing up? If there's no boost in appetite and I keep throwing up, then clearly this is making me throw up and it's not helping. So there's no point in taking it and I'm going to stop taking it. And if that's the case, honestly, I don't think I'm going to try any other weed products simply because never felt right like in the first place, but I just got so desperate that I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot. But you never know. We'll see. So for now, I'm kind of trying that out, seeing what's going to happen. So that's kind of what I mean by my body's messing with me. It's like I'm taking something that's supposed to be helping me, and it's having the inverse effect. So I don't know if it's my body. I don't know if it's the CBD oil itself. I don't know what it is. It's just kind of ironic given the situation. The second way that my body is messing with me, or at least has been in the last few days, is yesterday. I wanted to go for a walk because I've noticed when I go for walks outside, even though it's cold, even though in the moment it kind of sucks, being outside, the fresh air, the exercise, it really seems to help me. Helps me usually be slightly hungrier and, well, not necessarily hungrier, but being able to eat more food. And it seems to help me sleep better. As opposed to, using the walking pad inside. And yeah, I'm still doing the exercise. It's just not the same. Like being outside, being in the world, like the fresh air and everything really seems to help. So I've been kind of trying to force myself to do that a bit lately, even though it's starting to get cold. And yesterday, I really wasn't up for it. I wasn't feeling well. I was feeling kind of crappy, and then ended up throwing up, potentially as a result of the CBD oil. And after throwing up, I'm like, okay, I actually feel kind of good enough. So let's take advantage of this and let's go for a walk. So went outside, went for a walk. It was pretty much the coldest it's been since the winter started. Well, technically it hasn't started, it starts December 21st, but you know, when it's minus outside and there's snow, to me that's winter. So anyway, it wasn't that cold, it was minus 7 degrees, but it was pretty windy. And the thing is, my body's just not used to the cold yet. Because that's the thing, it's like if you don't live in Canada or a country where it gets really cold during the winter, you're not aware of this, but your body needs to get used to it. So at the start of winter, minus 5 degrees feels super cold. At the end of winter, minus 5 degrees feels super warm. And it's just a question of your body's getting used to it over time. So anyway, at this point, my body is not used to it. Plus, apparently my winter apparel is not up to par. I bought some gloves on Amazon, which were supposedly good till minus 30. It was minus 7 yesterday. I was freezing my hands off. It felt like my fingers were gonna fall off. And I literally like, you know when it's cold and you pull like your fingers back in your glove and you like keep them like this to keep them warm inside your gloves? I was doing that and my hands were still cold. Anyway, all that to say, the walk itself mostly sucked. It was very cold by the time I got back. Couldn't feel my nose, couldn't feel my lips. Even though, you know, I had a hat on, scarf on covering most of my face, jacket, windproof pants, you know, supposedly warm gloves that turned out to not have been warm. But anyway, it wasn't a pleasant experience, but it did still have that same effect that it normally does of whenever I come back from a walk outside, it's like I feel better because the exercise helps with my lungs. Being outside in the fresh air helps also purify, I don't know, the lungs, the body. It seems to help. I'm not exactly sure why. Plus, it was a long walk. It's 5 kilometers. It's cold, and when it's cold, you know, it taxes the body more. So you become more tired as a result of the walk. So I'm like, okay, cool. Tonight I'm gonna sleep really well. And turns out that I could not sleep. Went to bed, I think around 7, something like that, because I was tired from the walk. And managed to sleep a tiny bit, and then just woke up and just tossed and turned and couldn't go to sleep. So eventually I'm like, all right, fine, let me just get up and pass the time. And I did. It's like eventually by the time I was finally tired enough to actually go to sleep, it was around 12:30. So it's like, all right, I went outside, I did the walk, I did the physical exercise. It was cold, it taxed my body more. I was more tired. I was in a better position to fall asleep quickly. Yet for some reason my body's like, nah. It'll take forever for you to fall asleep. So now, you know, today I'm exhausted once again. And yeah, that's kind of the conclusion I've come to. It just seems like my body is messing with me lately for the last few days. Don't know why, but I guess part of the journey. It is what it is, you know? So anyway, after that other 13-minute complaining rant, I'm going to wish you a good day. And I will talk to you tomorrow. By the way, speaking of tomorrow, tomorrow is the 18-month cancerversary. And I'm going to do a live, so I'm going to go ahead and create a separate post, just kind of announcing the live, the time, and everything. But it is going to be December 8th, so tomorrow at 2 p.m., same as the time that I always do it. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow at the live if you can be there. And if not, I'll talk to you in the next video.